with under previous administrations. The FBI told Flynn he didn't need a lawyer when they came to meet with him. McCabe told FBI agents that he didn't think Flynn was lying. And then all of that information we've learned over the last few months and years culminates in the fact that we have a handwritten FBI note that says, quote, "We need to get Flynn to lie, quote, and get him fired." There was an unfair target on the back of General Michael Flynn. It should concern every American anytime there's a partisan pursuit of an individual, and that's certainly, at least those questions are raised with regard to General Michael Flynn, an honorable man who served his country. John.
Yeah, Kayleigh, on that, when the president fired Michael Flynn, he said he was doing so because he had lied to the vice president and he had lied to the FBI. So, given all that you've just said, isn't it still true? Doesn't the president still believe that Michael Flynn lied to Vice President Pence and lied to the FBI?
Well, first, let me address that. Vice President Pence is on the record about this. He said he's inclined to believe that Flynn did not intentionally mislead him. And I guess I would turn the question on you and just ask, does it trouble you that the FBI said, we got to get Flynn to lie? Doesn't that trouble you as a journalist? And not only that, as an American citizen?
Well, it's certainly something worth reporting. It's not my job to say whether or not it's troubling. But the bottom line is the president said point blank that Flynn lied to the FBI and to the vice president. And I'm just asking a very direct question. Does he still believe that Michael Flynn lied to the FBI and lied to the vice president?
And again, I'd point you to the vice president's statement that he's inclined to believe that Flynn did not intentionally mislead him. And I'm asking back that all of you in your coverage endeavor to report what is a very scary story when the FBI is saying, let us get someone to lie. I've seen very scant coverage of that. It's a story worth reporting and a story that I hope the American people, if you haven't heard it yet, are getting to hear for the very first time.
Chanel? I think he lied still.
Thank you, Secretary McEnany. Going back to the South China Sea, we had an issue come up this morning where you had the USS Barry crossing international maritime waters, and then this is in the South China Sea, and Chinese officials are saying that this will be a dead-end endeavor. Has the president spoken with any side on the Chinese as far as what the United States is going to continue doing? Is the U.S. Navy going to just ignore these threats and keep going through these international waters? What are your responses to China's increasing aggression in the South China Sea again?
Yeah, I have no news to report as to the president's conversations, and for the specifics of that, I would redirect you to the NSC. Yes.
Thanks. In the same podcast interview, the president said that Democrats would, quote, have to give us a lot for aid to states. I'm wondering if you have any idea of what specifically the White House or the president is asking for, and secondly, what you'd say to somebody like Governor Cuomo, who says, the president's already told me, a few weeks ago that he would support this type of assistance, and why are we bailing out, airlines or defense contractors, but not the states that pay teachers or first responders?
Well, first, you brought up Governor Cuomo, so I just thought it's a good time to remind everyone that Governor Cuomo has praised the president's response in this COVID-19 crisis, saying that what the president has achieved is a phenomenal accomplishment, and we thank Governor Cuomo for those very kind words. But on that note, with regard to funding to states, Phase 4 is something that we want to start negotiating on immediately and get to work on. The president has said, look, I will certainly look to consider helping states who have coronavirus reasons for the financial situation they find themselves in, but he doesn't want this to be an excuse for decades and decades of bad Democrat governance that have run some of these states into a financial predicament. So he has mentioned that in terms of the types of things he wants to see in this Phase 4. I don't want to get ahead of the negotiations, but I do want to emphasize that he has mentioned sanctuary cities. This is a really important issue that has cost American lives. Last year, our brave ICE officers arrested more than 120,000 criminal aliens charged with nearly 10,000 burglaries, 5,000 sexual assaults, 45,000 violent assaults, 2,000 murders, and in the last year, egregiously, 5,000 human trafficking episodes. So American lives matter, our brave ICE men and women matter, and it's something that he's mentioned he'd like to see in a Phase 4.
You raised that